her kids, but she just can't catch up. Didn't used to be that way in her house. Her husband was called up in the Guard. Now he's been in Iraq for over a year. They thought he was going to come home last month, but now he's got to stay longer. She thinks she's alone. But tonight, in this hall and in your homes, you know what? She's got a lot of friends. We want her to know that we hear her. It is time to bring opportunity and an equal chance to her door. We're here to make America stronger at home so that she can get ahead. And we're here to make America respected in the world again so that we can bring him home. And American soldiers don't have to fight this war in Iraq or this war on terrorism alone. So, when you return home some night, you might pass a mother on her way to work the late shift. You tell her, hope is on the way. When your brother calls and says he's spending his entire life at the office and he still can't get ahead, you tell him, hope is on the way. When your parents call and tell you their medicine's going through the roof, they can't keep up, you tell them, hope is on the way. And when your neighbor calls and says her daughter's worked hard and she wants to go to college, you tell her, hope is on the way. And when your son or daughter who's serving this country heroically in Iraq calls, you tell them, hope is on the way. When you wake up and you're sitting at the kitchen table with your kids and you're talking about the great possibilities in America, your kids should know that John and I believe to our core that tomorrow can be better than today. Like all of us, I've learned a lot of lessons in my life. Two of the most important are that first, there will always be heartache and struggle. We can't make it go away. But the second is that people of good and strong will can make a difference. One's a sad lesson, the other's inspiring. We are Americans, and we choose to be inspired. We choose hope over despair, possibilities over problems, optimism over cynicism. We choose to do what's right, even when those around us say you can't do that. We choose to be inspired because we know we can do better, because this is America, where everything is still possible. What we believe, what John Kerry and I believe, is that we should never look down on anybody. We ought to lift people up. We don't believe in tearing people apart. We believe in bringing them together. What we believe, what I believe, is that the family you're born into and the color of your skin in our America should never control your destiny. Join us in this cause. Let's make America stronger at home and more respected in the world. Let's ensure that once again, in our one America, tomorrow will always be better than today. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
51-year-old John Edwards with his acceptance speech of the vice presidential nomination, which will be made official tomorrow. His acceptance speech, hope is on the way. Now on the stage with his family. Bob Schieffer, over the years we've heard any number of vice presidential acceptance speeches. Generally speaking, The world little notes nor long remembers what these vice presidential candidates have to say. By any objective analysis, this was a well-delivered speech.
Well, it certainly was, Dan. And, you know, usually vice presidential speeches, it's the vice president's job to go out, the candidate, and be the attack dog, to attack the other side, to throw out the red meat. That was not what we saw here tonight. What we saw here tonight was a man who knows how to make a speech. I read this speech earlier today, and I thought, well, it's okay. It's so-so. And then it got into John Edwards' hands, and he delivered it, and it was some kind of speech. I can understand how John Edwards was such a successful lawyer. He's talked to a lot of juries in his life. He's convinced a lot of juries that his way was the right way, and I think he did a very good job here tonight. This is a good speech.
Question, Bob Schieffer. We know that after considerable consideration, the Bush-Cheney campaign decided to send Vice President Cheney out this week as a kind of hitman for their side, believing it was time to frontally assault the Kerry Edwards ticket. Is this, in your judgment, a calculated response to this, or would it have happened this way anyway?
I think if John Edwards had anything to do with it, it would have happened this way, if he's the one who made the decision. Because remember, Dan, all through the primaries, John Edwards was the optimist. He was the one that took the high road. He let the others do the attacking. I think this is just John Edwards' way. I think it's a very effective way. I think this is something people are very happy to hear, this kind of attitude.
We go to Byron Pitts, CBS News correspondent, covering the top of the ticket, John Kerry. Byron's on the floor of the convention. Byron?
Well, Dan, based on the crowd's reaction, John Edwards has done what he came here to do. He took this massive convention center and turned it into a courtroom. Some 15,000 people into 12 jurors, and he spoke to each one. Tonight, if John Edwards put the face on the Democratic Party, youthful and hopeful, it will be Senator John Kerry's job tomorrow night to give it its soul. I've talked to Senator Kerry several times about the importance of his acceptance speech tonight. Tomorrow night, he is mindful that many in the country still consider him aloof and distant. He promises to come here tonight and show that he has passion. He will make the point that he served his country. He bled for his country in Vietnam. He knows the meaning of war. He knows when he should take the nation to war. John Kerry has worked on this speech for the past 3 weeks. But Dan, we all should be clear. He has prepared for this moment since the day he became the captain of the Yale debate team. He has wanted this moment, and tomorrow it comes. Dan?
Byron Pitts on the floor of the convention as the Edwards family takes more of their bows. We go to the podium and CBS News Chief White House correspondent John Roberts. John, the double candidacy of John Edwards and his wife Elizabeth, very much in evidence tonight.
Well, Jan, you know, I mean, just the personality that Edwards exudes when he comes to these events is something that's pretty infectious with these delegates. And I talked to one delegate yesterday who says, you know, I'm coming to like John Kerry, but I haven't yet fallen in love with him. But I will tell you this. I have fallen in love with John Edwards. It's obvious that the charisma out there just gets to everybody here in the Fleet Center. It's interesting to note, though, Dan, would this have worked 4 years ago if Al Gore had have chosen him as his running mate? Very little known, only 2 years in the Senate. I think that the primary battle that he waged against John Kerry really gave him a good shot at being able to connect with people like this, Dan, and certainly pulled it off tonight. Back to you.
John Roberts, thanks. With the rhetorical echo of hope is on the way, John Roberts tonight sounded the themes of hope, optimism, strength, and a time for change. Democrats now rally behind a campaign slogan that says, in effect, Kerry and Edwards are, at home and abroad, uniters, while Bush and Cheney are, at home and abroad, dividers. The Democrats' hope for victory in November rides on whether voters, especially independents and swing voters in key states, and within that, especially women, agree or disagree. So America gets a close-up look at John Edwards. In many ways, winning the White House these days is a team effort. Running the White House is too, with vice presidents taking more responsibility, exercising more power. The vice presidency is no longer, as John Adams described it, the most insignificant office that ever the invention of man contrived. It is the second most significant office in America. Voters tonight took their measure of a man who would occupy that office. Tomorrow night, they'll do the same with the man who would be his senior partner. The president would be. CBS News will bring you John Kerry's acceptance speech beginning at 10 Eastern Time tomorrow night. Now, for those of you in the East and Central time zones, convention coverage continues tonight on your local news. And, of course, there'll be a complete wrap-up later for those of you in the West. For now, Dan Rather reporting for Boston. Good night, everybody.
Watch live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Democratic National Convention at CBSNews.com.
CSI New York, CBS Wednesdays.
If you're concerned about health care, you want a fighter as your senator. Peter Deutsch. In the State House, he stopped nursing home evictions. In Congress, fought Republican attempts to dismantle Medicare. Fought to protect health insurance for first responders.
Ought to be said. The Southerners are not going to vote for a person just because they have a zip code or just because they pronounce y'all correctly. John Edwards, and I don't think he meant to get there, but he's on the wrong side of a lot of very important issues to the South. I mean, I found it very strange that he talked about all these things he was going to do for the dependents of our servicemen and women, and yet he voted, he would not vote. He would not vote for their equipment or their benefits for their...
All right, Senator Miller, thank you very much. We're going to go to Harold Ford here, who's in the studio with me. He's a congressman from Tennessee. I suspect you have a slightly contrary point of view. You didn't...
I couldn't hear.
The Democrats couldn't carry Tennessee last time around with a native son, Al Gore, running. What makes you think that this ticket can run strongly in the South, including your own
2 years
state?
after Al Gore lost, we elected a Democrat as governor and picked up a Democratic seat. With all due respect to Senator Miller, I thought Senator Edwards spoke this evening with great ease about his faith, about his family, about his community. He talked about taking care of all of our community, from veterans to mothers who are worried about their children and even wives worried about their husbands being overseas. I thought what was most incredible about it was the tone. It was positive, it was upbeat, and he talked about hope being on the way, and I think every American can connect with that. And I look forward to a very spirited campaign this fall. And if this is any indication of what we're going to have, it's going to be fun, and I look forward to a victory in November.
Congressman Ford of Tennessee, thank you very much. And Senator Miller in Atlanta, thank you all very much. The vice presidential candidate spoke tonight, tomorrow night. The crowning moment for this Democratic National Convention, Senator John Kerry, the presidential nominee, will speak in this hall. And we'll be back with continuing coverage at 10 tomorrow night. We remind you, of course, MSNBC with continuous coverage. This Democratic National Convention now moving into its climactic day, the fourth day, Thursday. And Senator John Kerry, back in his hometown of Boston, the biggest speech of his life, running for the greatest office in the world. I'm Tom Brokaw.
This is NBC6 News at 11.
A soggy night right now in South Florida. Showers are still moving through the area.
And while Broward County enjoyed a lot of sunshine today, parts of Miami-Dade County were hit with heavy rains. Good evening, everyone. I'm Julia Yarbo. Tony has the night off.
And I'm Jackie Nesprall.
For more on the wet weather, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Roland Stedham. Roland.
Some areas around South Florida today picking up anywhere between 1.5 inches of rain to about 2 inches of rain. Now, most of the heavy shower and thunderstorm activity has moved off the southwest coast of Florida across Miami-Dade and Broward County. There are some scattered showers out there, but it's just generally light and very spotty in nature. But across the Keys, residents across the Keys are saying, all right, let it rain, because we're seeing some pockets of heavy rain across Key Largo and also some moderate to heavy rainfall from Marathon south to about Boca Chica. All of this is associated with a couple of features in the atmosphere. First of all, a very persistent trough along the eastern seaboard of the United States. Where the trough goes, that's where the moisture goes. Secondly, we also have a weak area of low pressure developing on the tail end of the trough. So the combination of this trough And this area of low pressure means a lot of moisture wants to continue across much of the state of Florida. I'll have more on how long this unsettled weather is going to last with my forecast in a few minutes.
Roland, thank you. Patients not getting proper care, enough nutrition, or even their prescribed medications. Those are just some of the charges against 4 workers employed at a Lauderdale Lakes medical facility. Michelle Kozinski is following the latest on this story and joins us live from Lauderdale Lakes. Michelle?
Yeah, of course, we've all seen allegations of subpar care at nursing homes in the past, but a lot of times those cases are civil.